And now, please welcome to the stage from SentinelOne, Chris Boehm.
Hey everyone, can everyone hear me okay? I know it's loud in this environment, so. First off, thank you for being here. I'm excited to be up on stage with everyone here to talk about AI and cybersecurity. To give you a quick background about myself, most people look at my history and they saw I worked at Microsoft. It's interesting that I'm here right now. But at the same time, I worked on multiple Microsoft products when I was at Microsoft, including AIP, if you're familiar with it, Microsoft Information Protection, Microsoft Sentinel, Risk IQ, the list kind of goes on and on. I've been at SentinelOne for about 2.5 years. And if you don't know about SentinelOne, I encourage you to go to our booth and check it out. We are showing live demos of our product. But let's talk about the impacts of AI in cybersecurity. So the main 4 things I'm going to talk about here is around generative AI. Maybe I should switch to this side right here. About generative AI, the new attack surface with AI in the market today. AI is a loose term. Think of deep learning, generative AI, when I use AI as a terminology. How AI-powered defenses is coming into play, like companies like SentinelOne, for example, and Google. And then just main key takeaways that the market is shifting to right now. Now, with generative AI, just kind of asking in the audience, does anyone use generative AI on a daily basis? It's becoming very popular. I just read an article that said 45% of hedge firms leverage ChatGPT on a daily basis to make decisions for them. Just kind of crazy to think about how much generative AI is making a difference in our market today. But anyways, talking about how generative AI is impacting our market. First off, it helps with creation capabilities. One of the key things that people looked at is how is it helping from a developer operation perspective, marketing. I think the last presentation was all done in generative AI. So it's allowing you to create and adopt things and matching your business operations, including detection code and giving summaries. The most abused functionality I use for generative AI myself, I use it every day, is summarizing content. People send me blogs, content, websites, white papers. I throw it into an engine, say, give me an idea of what this is actually talking about, and then it allows me to summarize what's going on. The interaction capability is another one. So in the past, it was kind of hard to deal with multiple different languages, and coding to a natural language is a challenge. But with generative AI, it's probably one of the biggest things that people noticed. A college student, a younger generation can say, hey, I'm interested in writing a white paper on World War II and how the impacts of Alan Turing did, and it can give you a whole entire documentation, document right there within seconds. So it makes it simple and easy. I don't have to understand the knowledge behind it, and it works for you. It documents the works and gives you information around it. The other one, this is becoming more prominent today, is prediction and analysis. So it's allowing you to coordinate and connect large data models. So think of it from a perspective, I have petabytes of information. I need to understand what's relevant for me, and generative AI is making a big impact. And even SentinelOne is leveraging generative AI to help security professionals today. And we can show you a demo if you're interested in it. Now, when it comes to the LLM challenges, there's quite a few of them. One of them, the lack of repeatability. Has anyone ever asked a question on an LLM to say, hey, I would like to know what is going on with this certain scenario, or a code review? It will give you a different answer every time, unfortunately. It's usually the same answer, but it's not consistent. So that's a challenge that we're noticing in the LLM market that we had to solve ourselves for our customers to be as consistent as possible. The other one is model transparency. You don't always know what's going on. The update models aren't always transparent. It's providing some insights and information to you, but at the same time, it doesn't always make it easy for you to understand if that's a source of truth or is it just making it up. And that's a problem that you run into. The next one is model versioning. OpenAI is very notorious about this. You have not always knowing that you're on a different revision of the AI model that you were using yesterday, for example. They do document it, but it's not fully transparent for you. And it makes it harder for developers or businesses to leverage that solution because things keep changing on a rapid response capability. The next one is, I mentioned this kind of already, the hallucination of knowing what it knows what it's talking about. I love fighting with generative AI. It's like a hacker trying to reach out to me saying, hey, I'm here, I need some help. Can you help me? I'm a Microsoft support. I'm like, phenomenal, who's your manager? I might know them. It just changes the conversation altogether. And then the same thing with generative AI. It'll start acting like it knows everything you're talking about, and then it apologizes through the whole entire process, like, please forgive me. I thought I knew what I was talking about. I have no idea. Tell me what I need to know. The other one is the prompting of engineering, the quality of responses. It tries to do the best, but you actually have to have it more tailored. Even for us, like we had to have our security defer team walk through our LLM model to make sure it's tailored appropriately for an incident. It's not something that it does perfectly. It's getting more mature in that market, but it's a challenge that we face when working with generative AI and LLM challenges. And then the privacy concern. That's usually what everyone hit on right away. Okay, you got my data, you're learning what I'm doing, but is it something that who gets to see it? That's kind of terrifying. All of a sudden, my whole business, the code, everything that's being leveraged is being accessed outside of the business, and it could be proprietary. And that's usually why at the very first, when generative AI became public, it started, everyone just blocked it right away. Now the adoption is becoming, it's necessary for business operations or better controls, but it became a first thing. I remember 2 years ago, they were just like, no, we just blocked it. If you need to leverage any generative AI capability, we don't know what's happening with the data, we don't trust it, we're just gonna get rid of it. And it's been changing rapidly. The thing is, attackers don't really care about that. So we have a new attack vector that's happening. That's one of the challenges that you're going to run into in the field. It's not super prevalent that you'll notice attack weaponizing, but we actually have seen it being leveraged today. For example, social engineering is the #1 that we saw right away when it comes to leveraging generative AI. All of a sudden, emails look really good. Now, domain names are looking so close that it's hard to miss, or it might even be a subdomain name that you're not familiar with. Generative AI is making an attacker think a different way, connect the dots a little bit easier, and heck, they can even have interactive conversations with you leveraging generative AI, and you don't even know you're talking to a bot until they collect the information about you, and they use that as a weaponized attack in the future, gathering more information. So social engineering is a big one. But we've actually seen it for the most advanced attack surface mechanism we've seen is building malware on the fly, customized to a business. So think of it this way. They get into your environment, they're going from a public sector, OT, IoT land space, and they access your environment. They're just sitting there, enjoying the experience of all the information that they're collecting. And then they find all the weaknesses in your environment, custom to you. But imagine a red teaming exercise that they're building custom malware that can penetrate your problems for your business. And they're leveraging generative AI to build that and weaponize it as a framework. So that's the most advanced capabilities that we've seen. But typically, you'll see it from a social engineering perspective. And now I'm talking like nation states are leveraging that kind of technology. It's not the average hacker out in the market. But it's massive on how it's being leveraged on a scale from, I recommend just taking a picture. There's a lot of information here. But it's amazing how it's being leveraged from a generative AI, from a weaponized framework perspective. Now, how they're leveraging it, I kind of mentioned it already, but they're using it for reconnaissance purposes. I think there's even new product lines that have been popping up that are doing red teaming on the fly, automatically leveraging generative AI. There's some startup companies that are starting to do that. We use generative AI to red team 24/7. We can tell you, we can prove it to you that you're doing it. It's still a new concept, it's still happening, but it's interesting that that's being leveraged just to do red teaming automatically versus doing one once a year just to do audit purposes. The next one is payload crafting. I've already mentioned that. They're customizing custom payloads based on Python scripting or open source technology that generative AI knows very well. And they can say, hey, I can coordinate the dots and build this out for you. If you want to build something in C#, I can tell you a generative AI can do that today for you. And it doesn't have to be malicious. It could be, I just want to encrypt my data so it's not being accessed, but I want it to be tokenized, and all of a sudden you're building a Bitcoin locker ransomware capability, and it's just the same thing. The next one is evasion capabilities. It's leveraging that functionality to help with evasion, so you can actually determine like the red teaming mechanism that I just mentioned. Security bypass features is becoming not as, we've seen it, but it's being leveraged to bypass CAPTCHA, for example. So you can have generative AI to push that needle forward. That was a problem that you usually use third-party mechanisms to do in the past. So generative AI is helping with that mechanism. Social engineering, I've already mentioned it, it's one of the top ones out there in the market. Even deepfakes is a huge concern. I guarantee you're going to see more about it with the upcoming campaign constantly. It's probably going to be annoying how much we're going to see about it, but it's been impacting a lot of campaigns for the past year outside of the United States. So that's the reason why it's so prevalent. I just did a demo, I think 2 weeks ago. The security team decided to deepfake their own CEO and say they're going to give everyone bonuses, and they're going to walk them through the process of how those bonuses, they did everything 100% generative AI created. And the CEO was just standing right there like, I sponsored this myself. So anyways, it's fascinating how it looked very real. And all they did was they had they used the marketing slide that they used, like the marketing video of the CEO introducing the company. That's all they did. So it's amazing how it's being leveraged as a generative AI perspective. And then enhancing capabilities. A lot of companies are doing this today. I can't think of many that aren't doing this to improve their resilience capabilities, connecting the dots, helping things, but cybersecurity professionals are doing the same thing. How can I make my scripts more hidden? How can I make them more sticky? How can I do command and control? Like, there's multiple different things that they're leveraging with generative AI, connecting the dots for them, because generative AI knows how TTPs work. Why can't it do the other way around? So that's where AI-powered defenses come in. The pitch is Sentinel-1 has been around for over 12 years now. It is an AI behavioral-based endpoint agent, just to give you an idea. So AI is not a new concept. The difference is now it's being leveraged on a generative AI deep learning mechanism with large data volumes. For example, we go through petabytes of data a day for customers. It's just, that's how many customers we have. So we have to have models that go through that and enable them. And then on the agent level, we have to do the same thing. So we have to, it's the mechanism of how we're doing that. So advanced capabilities, analyzing information and behaviors. I can see, everyone has heard of UEBA, possibly. I've never seen a good UEBA experience. Generative AI is probably going to change that in the near future, because it's going to be able to connect the dots based on the information that's at their disposal and build out a UEBA capability. I can easily see that being a very futuristic, major adoption in other companies. Breach prediction and risk analysis. Like I mentioned on that red teaming example, all of a sudden it's going to be scanning on a regular basis, providing more information, more contextual information through an incident and providing more analysis. So that's why products like CNAPP is growing in the market when it comes to cloud visibility, endpoint visibility, application vulnerability assessment. This is a growing trend because generative AI is helping connect those dots and provide more holistic view of breach. The other one is critical defenses, building out algorithms of connecting the dots on a mapping coordination. A lot of cybersecurity products have that visual mapping. Like, I can see endpoint, it connects to IP addresses. This is going to expand further because generative AI has the capability of providing that insights for you. Typically, it's mapped out in the past based on specific entities. It's going to correlate multiple different entities based on generative AI correlation of your environment. The other one is correlating attack patterns. It's going to find things that are not obvious. I can see products growing more from, instead of we know this is an incident, but we can actually show you it's a predictive incident based on a lot of benign that turned into an incident. So that's going to be something that you're going to be seeing with AI fighting AI, for example. Adaptive responsive. We're already doing this today. This is something that Sentinel-1 wants to do. We're providing real-time investigation capabilities in an incident scenario and providing you the results of how we're doing that. We started out with our own generative AI capability. It's expanding. I can tell you right now it's happening because we are doing this ourselves on automating responses and providing insights and acting like a security analyst, at least a level 1 analyst, probably more into level 2. So you're going to see a shift in the paradigm of how analysts are going to be leveraged in the cybersecurity workspace, because all of a sudden generative AI is now taking advantage of a lot of that mundane activities. And the last one is automation investigations. You're going to be seeing a lot of things being leveraged when it comes to automated investigation capabilities, because now generative AI can do a lot of things a DFIR team could do. And a lot of DFIR teams have playbooks. Security teams have playbooks. Businesses have playbooks. What if you can import those playbooks and your security team automatically runs through it every time with generative AI doing that for you? It's a big game changer. Think of it that way. This is like how we're doing it right here, just to kind of give you a visual demonstration. This is my one slide when it comes to Sentinel-1, because I like to use what we're doing in-house to give examples of where cybersecurity is transforming. But it's going to be security operation, configuration assistance, guided threat hunting capabilities, kind of everything I mentioned already when it comes to response and understanding how things are being impacted on a global scale. So we're doing this for every customer, meaning compliance and regulations based on each environment. For example, if you ever work with Germany customers, they do not want data to ever leave Germany. We had to leverage local LLMs with their data regulations and provide that for them. So this is something we're doing today live, and customers buy this already. So the main things I wanted to talk about is, I've already mentioned, but the key takeaways is the attack vector has kind of changed a little bit, if you haven't noticed already, when it comes to the potential what they can do. We've been seeing in a light scale, because generative AI is now being adopted, just like businesses. You're going to see more adoption when it comes to the attack vector. When it comes to capabilities of cybersecurity efficiency, things have become faster. You're going to see breakthroughs that you've never seen before. The mean time to detection, mean time response, it's usually measured in days. It would shock me in the future it's not measured in seconds, because generative AI is going to be part of that equation. on most of the tools out there in the near future, or not already. The ability to use defensive AI. Someone asked me the other day, like, well, when quantum computing comes out, it's being leveraged on an attack vector perspective, how are you guys going to respond to that? I said, it's very easy. We will have quantum computing ourselves fighting against it. That's the only way you can really respond to it. You fight speed with speed. Think of it from a military perspective. Who has the bigger guns? It's usually, that's how it's the same thing. So things are going to become very competitive when faster computing goes out and more things are out there at your disposal. Just a simple example, passwords have been an issue for years. If you look at Microsoft, they came out with passwordless authentication. The reason why, you can go on YouTube right now, type in $500 to crack a password. You can leverage any cloud service out there with $500, spin up resources as fast as possible to crack into a password. Because it's just all at your disposal. It's amazing what you can do with cloud technology today. And AI is going to have to defend against it, unfortunately, because it's so fast and efficient. The next one is just effectiveness and capabilities. You're going to be seeing a shift when it comes to just security operations in the near future. The first shift you've probably been seeing recently has been about the upper leadership visibility. A new role, the CIAO, the Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer, or Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer, is a new role that's popping up right now. And you're going to see that as a continued adoption and new markets. I've been seeing this just recently in more customers, and we did a white paper on it. We really do see the adoption because it's becoming a single business line item because of the profitability all by itself. I think it's predicted by 2030, it's going to be a $2 trillion market just with AI alone. And the last one is the human augmentation capabilities. You're going to be seeing professionals being a lot more efficient. Heck, I feel more efficient today leveraging generative AI because I can collect information faster, I can prioritize what's necessary, and I can make my job a lot more efficient and easier than it's ever been before in my previous career. And that is all I had. Hopefully you learned a little something. This is only a 20-minute segment, so it was really quick and a lot of information. But if anyone has a few questions, we do have 3 minutes. I'm more than happy to answer a question for anyone. You're being put on the spot, though, so be careful. No one? No one's brave enough? Oh, there you go. There you go.
How do you validate the results of AI models?
Sorry, say that one more time.
How do you validate the results of AI models?
If I'm hearing correctly, how do I validate the response of
the results?
The results, yeah. So how we had to do it for our own product is we had to go through a multi-layer process. If you ask a question on our generative AI or LLM, it's actually not asking one question. It's asking like 10 in the back end. And then it summarizes it and provides you a more consistent result of validation with other documentation. So the design itself leverages any LLM model that's out there. That's how we designed it. So we leverage multiple LLMs based on the type of question you ask with our own LLM model that's asking our own databases and does a validation through the process to make sure it's reassured. If it doesn't know the answer, we programmed it to say, we don't have the information at that time. That's the decision that we made. You can let generative AI just make up whatever you want, technically, but we programmed it to be strategic and initiative when it comes to cybersecurity initiatives. And that's how we had to drive it ourselves. So it's a good question.
So I had a quick question on how Sentinel-1 looks at responsible AI. What is your stance on that?
So that's a great question. We had to take it, when Sentinel-1 started jumping into the responsible AI models, we had to look at it a different way. A lot of companies started leveraging cloud workloads to handle that models for them, to say that's responsible enough. GCP, AWS, everyone is saying like we're meeting the maturity models for them. But even for our own agents, that's technically an AI model that we have to manage and meet responsibly. So for example, everything that our AI agent is doing on the machine, it actually is controlled on that machine and left alone. It only sends telemetry information to the workspace itself. So we took it as a very different model of contextualizing it to each endpoint for our example. Generative AI, we had to contextualize it based on the database of a customer. So based on our design, if let's just say Google wanted to sell it to every customer, Google could technically look at everything if they sold our platform, but then they can break it down to per segment within that customer base if they wanted to. So it just depends on case-by-case scenario, and we had to meet all those needs, I would say. But we would probably meet a compliance and regulation if it did come out because of our global presence, especially when it comes to EU. EU is pushing a pretty heavy AI framework, And we are leveraging that and looking at that as our own maturity model. But for the longest time, there hasn't really been one. So that's the kind of response we're at this moment in time. Yeah. And we are at time. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. But thank you so much, and I appreciate you joining my talk.